And we're live. Hello, sir.
Wonderful.
This is Chris Hunter and Dr. Bose. He's the man, the myth, the legend. What do we have on the agenda today, sir?
I believe that the globe, the planet, is suffering from Islamofascism.
Just a wee bit. For 2,000 years now.
Yes, and I rather say this way, there is a marriage happened in 1928 between the modern Islam with communism, which created the Islamofascism, which given more weightage to the Islamofascism, and which we are seeing and experiencing throughout the world, throughout the planet, in every country. If you see, almost every country, there is a huge population of Islamic people staying there, destroying the country's resources and utilizing the country's facilities and creating unhygienic social mechanism which is affecting the people's livelihood in every nation in the whole world. So
you're correct.
And supported by the appeasers, their appeasers, who are none other than the communists. So the globe is infested with a two-headed insect called as the Islamofascism. How's that?
Sounds about right. Yeah. The extent to which they have infiltrated every part of the government and schools, like in colleges around the United States, there are more care organizations on college campuses than are Republican or Democratic organizations. They own 95% of all the mosques in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I believe that in this way that let's go back to this unique organization called as Islam. When it started, yes, it was 570 AD. It's created by a man at his 42nd year, whose name was Muhammad, the Prophet. And we all know the history. I don't want to go into details, but he died in 632. So he was alive for 62 years, and he spread Islam when he was exactly 20 years younger. And so he was on the planet spreading Islam as a prophet for 20 years, mathematically. Because till his 40th or 42nd year, he had not achieved the prophecy and not achieved the power of the God he was mentioning as to the people.
Yep. You're correct.
And for that, I would rather say that this way, and this comes in this way, that Islam is an amazing organization. I rather don't call it a religion, because Muhammad, the Prophet, was an excellent marketing manager. If you observe it very keenly, very closely, you will find his every doctrine in his Quran, he mentioned in such a manner that it is an excellent marketing strategy. And for that, they are implementing it in every country. They're infesting every country. They're invading every country and spreading their products. And their products are, okay, these products are called as, I can say that, for example, the sword verse, the okay, let me tell you this way. In Quran, there is a mention of a subject called the sword verse. What is the sword verse or kafirs? People who are not Muslims, they are called as kafirs or kufra in Arabic, kufrs. And their famous sword verse, which is itself is like, okay, violence. It's mentioned in the sword verse, ayat al-sayaf, which means there is an ayat. Ayat means a suggestion from the God to Muhammad, and that has been disclosed to the people of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for example, in Quran 2.190, it says, fight in the cause of Allah those who fight you, but do not transgress limits, for Allah loveth no transgressors.
Wow.
Okay, so this is amazing. I mean, people don't read Quran. I mean, I suggest everyone to read Quran, because unless you know them, it's not easy for you to fight them and to stop them doing their atrocities in your cities, in your country, in your planet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have to go through it in details. Now we talk about jihad. That's a very interesting subject, because people talk about jihad, but people don't know what is jihad. Jihad means the fight for the self, fight for the food, fight for defending the family members, defending the society, defending the country, defending, like, how do you call it, to fight for achieving the food. So this jihad is very prominent across the world. We have seen different countries have suffered in this jihad. And whenever there is a terrorist attack, the first thing comes into picture is jihad.
Mm-hmm.
But jihad is only the name tag given to that. But the actual manifestation behind jihad is the basic ayat. Ayat means the said doctrines by the God himself, as per Muhammad.
Right.
So this ayat, or you can say the words of the gods, those are mentioned particularly what you have to do, what you don't have to do. So these are the doctrines given to him.
Okay? And then don't they have the consequences for breaking those also with that? Or is that separate?
Oh, obviously. I'm just going through it and just tell you the consequences of it. Okay, one sec.
Brutal.
Okay. The best of this Quran is Quran 9.5, which is said, Ayat al-Sayaf is the 5th verse of the 9th surah. It's called a surah al-Tawbah. Tawbah means, okay, to forgive. Surah al-Tawbah. And in 9.5, in sword verse, the sword verse, the first time in any religion, they are using the word sword. What do you do with the sword? To cut pineapples?
Yeah, sort of.
To cut the cake?
Yeah, I cut the cake, cut the vine, cut the head.
Absolutely. So in 9.5, it said, but when the forbidden 4 months are passed, then fight and slay the pagans. It can be Hindus, it can be Buddhists, it can be anyone who worship the idols or the pagans. It can be the Vikings also. Wherever you find them and seize them, beleaguer them, and lie in wait
Yep.
for them, which means you have to lie to pull them towards you in every stratagem, in every strategy of war.
Right.
But if they repent and establish regular prayers and practice regular charity, then open the way for them. For Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. It is Quran 9.5 of the 5th verse, translated by Yusuf Ali. Now, the next verse, 9.6, it's mentioned, if one amongst the pagans ask thee for asylum, grant it to him so that he may hear the word of Allah, and then escort him to where he can be secure. That is because they are men without knowledge. Okay?
Yep. I'm listening.
This is one of the fascinating part of this Islamic al-Tawbah. Now, if you talk about the violence in Quran, the third verse as already mentioned. Now, amazingly, there is another version of the third verse, which I call it Ayat al-Kafirun. Now, this is one of the finest of the third verse. Just give me 1 second so that I can give you the right answer for it.
No problem.
This is the Ayat al-Kafirun is one of the most deadliest version of the third verse. And the word kafirun came from the word kafir.
That's like a slang term for non-believer or non-Muslim.
It's called as, yes, it's called as Surah al-Kafirun. And okay, let me say this way. In Al-Kafirun, it's a 10.109 of the Quran verse, Surah 109. It mentioned, say, O disbelievers, I do not worship what you worship, nor are you worshippers of what I worship, nor will I be a worshipper of what you worship, nor will you be the worshippers of what I worship. For you is your religion, and for me is my religion. That's the way of calling. It's basically a deceptive way of attacking people and fooling people, called as taqiyya. Al-taqiyya is a deception in Islam.
Now, it sounds familiar. When has that ever been used before?
Okay, and in Arabic, it mentioned Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kul ya huwa la kafirun la abuduma ma tubudun wala antum abuduna ma abudun wala ana vidum ma tu ma abtum wala antum abiduna ma abudum lakum dinakum waledin, which means that you are a fool and you have been fooled by my sweet little words, where I can tell you that I don't worship what you're worshiping. You don't worship what I'm worshiping, but I will not accept your faith, but I will force you to accept my faith. That's the moral of the story.
Never ever seen that before. Never happens. Oh wait, it does.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And this version of this. Okay, I'll come directly to the sword verse, where it is mentioned what is the real version of the sword verse, which is very important for everyone to know. Okay. majority of the terrorists in the international terrorists, they learn the sword words so well that they only believe in killing or chopping out people's head, and they try to impose the fear factor inside the people, or the fear psychosis inside the people. So that is one of the reasons for which uh, people don't understand what they want or they wanted to. Now, okay.
Didn't they use Takia for 9/11, Benghazi?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Al-Taqiyya is basically a deception.
Right.
Al-Taqiyya is a deception. It's a deception word in Arabic called Al-Taqiyya. And Al is the word they use on everything. Al-Habibi,
Yep.
Al-Taqiyya, Al-Quran, Al-Hadith, Al
Nasr?
Ayatul Sayaf. Yes, in everything.
Yeah.
So that's a superlative word they always use on everything. But Taqiyya is the word, the deception.
Right.
Like the Russians seem to say in the USSR time, they used to use a deceptive word of called as maskirovka. The Chinese use the Chinese word of Ifian, and so the Islamic people use the word al-taqiyya.
Okay.
Al-taqiyya is from the toe to your head. Entire thing is a big lie.
Wow. Sold to your head.
Oh yes, and that's why it is al-taqiyya. They will fool you to the core. They will stay in your home. They will eat your food, and when it's the time for them to go away, that time they will kill you and your families, and they will take you home.
Wow. Can't wait for that to happen. Like, somebody's not invited. They may have a hard time sleeping.
In sword verse, it's also mentioned that even if you ask for refuge, I can give you refuge, and I will kill your men, and I will take your women and children. And if they don't comply with me and my religion, I can use my power of manhandling the woman and either force them inside the harems, or else I can kill them and can use their children as my sex slaves.
Because they're not Muslim.
Unless if they don't become Muslims,
Right.
that's true.
Yeah.
If they don't convert.
Yep.
And see the tactics. See the tactics actually.
Yeah.
They attack the family. If the head of the family comply with them, then they will not hit him or destroy the family. But if they don't, majority of the times, the head of the family didn't comply with them, and they
Right.
have to lose their life.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Every time. I think that sometimes that they go along with it, they end up still losing their life. I know that the boys are considered to be young men if they start going through puberty. They have hair.
Oh, okay. We always know that when the man has been killed, the woman has been taken in their harem, and they have been forced to convert. If that lady has no kid, in that case,
Right.
she will be thrown into the harem, and she will be sexually tortured.
Right.
Until she becomes pregnant. And when she becomes pregnant, her child will be used. Will be baptized as a Muslim, and then either he'll be trained as a Muslim, or else he will be used as a gilma.
Right.
And the gilma word is very similar because people who served in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, they know the word gilma because gilma are young kids of the age of 13 years who has been sexually assaulted by men. And these kids are all male child. They're not female child. So height of pervertism, height of pedophilia.
Yeah. So when I was in Iraq, I had a gentleman show up to the front gate of the station and offer his child, his son, for sex. I drew my gun on him. I was so pissed off, and it's just, what are you doing? Go away now. Take your son and go away now.
Well, these people, they, if you caught them, if you catch them, they will say, no, Islam never mentioned this thing, but Islam itself is mentioned of each and everything on that.
Yeah. And they're very strict about every word.
Every word, and they restrict. I mean, they follow. We don't follow. You don't follow, but they follow it very strictly. Okay.
To the letter.
Yes, that's like touching their heart, and they're just following that. Because one way, I respect their faith, that they are following their faith very strictly, not diverting a single tongue.
Yeah.
Because whatever is mentioned, starting from jihad, starting from the sword verse, no religious text in the whole world ever mentioned about sword or killing people or taking away their wives and children and utilizing them for sexual fantasy.
Right.
Never. So that's the best part of this Islam. So when this Islam gets connected with its cousin, the communist, wow. The only word they use in Arabic, mashallah. Mashallah.
Sounds familiar. Speaking of pagan, we were going on a raid, and the guy leading the raid was in a black Range Rover in khaki pants and a collared shirt. And we're like, you're in Iraq, right? And all of the cars are white with orange fenders, but you have the only black Range Rover for hundreds of miles. You stand out, buddy.
Absolutely. I mean, they find a black Range Rover or a GMC traveling in Iraq or Syria. They know that whose car is it. It's the American soldiers or the PMCs working over there.
Yep. We went and did the raid on the compound he wanted us to. And I'm rear security, so I bolt to the left and I went around the backside of the building because I saw I got to go around the right-hand side. And I met him in the back there. It was completely dark, and you have all your night vision stuff on, and they can't see a doggone thing. And you, boom, hit them with their light, and there's, And then right then you snatch him up and cuff him and stuff. And I'm searching him, and he had a pentagram folded up in his pocket with all these spells written on it. And I was like, what is this stuff? And I went to my translator, and he's like, oh, no. That's no good. No good. Very bad. Like, what does it read it? He's like, oh, no. He wouldn't read it. But I opened up and looked at it. Yeah, all sorts of crazy spell stuff in it and so on. Yeah. Apparently they can.
One of the best example of deception is sometimes they carry the Holy Quran. They remove the pages of the Quran. They put their weapons inside the Quran. Yep. They hide it. And nobody will touch. Oh, it's Holy Quran. Don't touch it.
Yep.
Don't touch it.
We found that most of the suicide bombings that happened weren't that at all. They were somebody who was told to drop off the car or the black backpack or something like that. And so that's all I thought they were doing. And then it had a surprise for them at the end. So they're not necessarily people that want to blow themselves up and stuff. It's more like they just got blown up because they didn't know they were the last part of the game.
Okay. They are very smart people. They know that they will send 3 boys, they paid them to make the American soldiers or any other soldiers busy. They're running. So two boys are running behind the small boy, and the soldiers, American soldiers, are running. It's a diversion technique. And this person is traveling with the Quran in his hand. When checked, this is Quran. They don't check it. Say, okay, go through.
Yep.
The local forces. But when it's been stopped by the Americans, they know they had a remote over here, fixed here, beyond their Zubba. And when going there, the American soldiers stopping him, going for a body search. He's arming that stuff. It's a suicide bomber, and he just pushed the button, and the entire soldiers and all his family members in the military all blown apart.
Yep. So I had this situation happened to me when I was there, where I was having a son. My oldest son was being born, and I wanted to go home and see him born. And they're like, no. My commander said not to. My first sergeant said not to. I wouldn't take no for an answer, and so I ended up asking 3 times. And each time I went to the next level, and the next level. So I started pissing some people off. And at that point, I'm like, well, I don't like to get no for an answer. So I'm going to make this happen. So I used my influence. And when I say that, I mean, I couldn't go over there to Sergeant Major and say, hey, you better let me go. I just used my well-being, my presence and stuff like that. Said, hey, I need to make this happen because I want to be there for my son, my first son. And I got it. So I was the first soldier in Iraq to go home on mid-tour leave. I got only 11 days. I was supposed to have 2 weeks, but I only got 11. I got to see him born on his first day. Spun everything up, came back home. My first day back in Bakuba, I was in the talk, and I was talking to the guy on shift, and he was working my job that night. Oh. I'm in a pair of shorts and T-shirts and flip-flops. We get a call on the radio. He said, hey, I gotta go down there. They got a bomb or something. Okay. Building shakes. Saw a flash in the window. Run to my room, grab my med bag. I'm downstairs out there in front of the station. No gun, no anything. Just standing there looking around. Everybody's shell-shocked, blown apart. And there's my buddy. He just walked down there to take my position. That was he didn't get to go home and see his kids and stuff. And so it was really it was difficult for a long time. And about 5 years ago, it was explained.
Actually, and I wouldn't be able to sit in front of you. No, I wouldn't be able to sit in front of you, and we'd be having a nice chat over here.
Yeah. Yep. Right. And that my kids wouldn't know me. I would never had them. A lot of stuff would never happen, but it did. And I found out 5 years ago that he actually knew the bomb was there, and they don't know why he walked up to it and grabbed it. They told him several times the way down there, don't touch it. And they found out that his wife and him were going through a divorce, and maybe he didn't want to be there anymore. So, yeah, that was an interesting night, but the people are serious.
Amazing.
Serious.
Yeah.
I think my timer
because the disinformations are very crucial, Chris, because what I just gave a small briefing about Islam. Mm-hmm. And now I just want to give a small briefing about communism so that people have a fair idea what is communism. Okay. I was writing a thesis on communism, and I'm just reading out from there. First of all, communism is a economic ideology that advocates for a classless society, a society which has no class, no parameters, Okay, it's a total anarchy. That anarchy is being advocated by communism, in which property and wealth are commonly owned, shared instead of by any individual, which means, as per communism, like the Islamic people,
Right.
as per communism, in one home which belongs to your dad, if you are a communist, your dad's home is being shared with many of your friends and their families, which no more related to you.
Yeah.
It's related to the people.
Yeah.
That's one of the points. And the communist ideology developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, which is opposite to the capitalist ideology. That's why it is called communism.
Yeah.
So people forget about the importance of communism. Now, understanding communism, communism is an umbrella term that encompasses a range of ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
It's an umbrella of terms that encompasses the pattern or the range of ideologies. Communism to the world originated with Victor de Huppé, a French aristocrat in 18th century France, who advocated living in a commune
Mm-hmm.
where all property would be shared with everyone and with everyone like a common day. He was staying, he was an aristocrat. He left his home. He went to the slum area. He's staying with the people in the slum. And in the slum area, you have no common room. It's like everyone is there
Right.
and they can pass through in anyone's room, that kind of thing. And as per the book of Acts, first century Christians, Christian communities holding property in communes according to a system called as koinonia, which inspired later religious groups such as 17th century English diggers to reject private ownership.
Huh.
We always blame the communists in Russia, but
Right.
the French and the English were also equally responsible for the creation of communism.
They
That
are
is more
now.
important.
They are now
Yes,
way more than Russia.
the modern communism. I'm talking about the modern communism.
Yeah.
The ideology began to develop during the French Revolution, and its seminal tract, uh, Karl Marx and Engels, Friedrich Engels, Communist Manifesto was published. First Communist Manifesto was published in normal white paper in 1848. It rejected the Christian tenor of previous communist philosophies, laying out a materialistic and its proponents claim scientific analysis of the history and future trajectory of human society, which means they're using science and technology to fool more people
Right.
and to create their platform forever
Right.
till they die.
All for
Okay.
control. My understanding is that people don't do well in communism as far as and aspirations to be better or to achieve anything because there's nothing to achieve and they just kind of stagnate.
No, people don't believe in communism. That's wrong. But people been brainwashed. If you don't watch communism, no problem. So, for example, there is an example. There are two individuals, and these two individuals have birthday on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So one of their father comes, give him a gift as per his capacity. The other guy's father comes, give him a gift as per his capacity. If by any chance there is a difference between the stature and the amount of the price of the gifts, then communist has an attitude of taking his gifts also and kicking him out of the picture.
Okay.
So which is no way different from the Islamic people.
Yep.
Okay. Now, who is Karl Marx? This is very important. Born in Gevenhansen, Hoppingen, Baden-Württemberg in Germany, 1816, to Marx and Pfeiffer. His father, Marx Hertz or Naphtali. He was a Jewish rabbi, or Marx Rothschild. Interesting.
That's crazy. There would never be a Rothschild involved in something like that.
Yes. And mother, Brendel Wheel. So Karl Marx, born in Triumph Kingdom of Prussia on 5th May 1818. Father, Herschel Mordechai. Mordechai is a Jewish rabbi.
Yeah.
Mother, Henrietta Mordechai Pressburg. Okay. Marx's birth name was Chaim Lachaim Chaim Herschel Mordechai in Hebrew. Now, Napoleonic War. See how he's connected with the Rothschild. Herschel Mordechai, his father of Marx, became a French Freemason in 1830. He was a Jew, but he became a Freemason. Joining there, L'Etoile and Satik. There's a war. L'Etoile, Hanseatic in Ostrong. After the war, he faked conversion to Lutheranism as a means to better infiltrate the Prussian society. So his father was a bigger threat. His father was a bigger fraud than Marx himself. So the entire family is the family of frauds.
Right.
He pretended to be a bourgeois. Now, who are the bourgeois? Okay, merchant class in France is called as the bourgeois in the Napoleonic War time.
Right.
During the time of the Resistance. He pretended to be a bourgeois, enlightenment liberal, intended in free thought, wealthy, and owned some vineyards. He became a rich man buying some vineyards. Marx ancestry. Now, this is important. Unless you know the the family tree of Marx, you won't be able to understand the global reset, the global Agenda 2030, Rothschild and Marx, how they're connected. Grandparents of Marx. Nariet Solomon married Darrent Cohen. Now, Nariet was his grandmom, who belonged to a wealthy Amsterdam family.
Uh-oh.
Marburg virus in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Her cousin had married Nathan Mayer Rothschild. His grandmom's cousin married Nathan Mayer Rothschild, the first Rothschild.
Right.
Baron and member of parliament for the city of London. He was the baron and the member of parliament for the city of London. Okay, so that is one of the things. Now, this is what I call it as the history of the biggest fraud ever born after Islam. This is communism.
Yes.
So from their inception, they confuse you, they conquer you, they
Yep.
deceive you, destroy you, and they divulge you.
Yep. All very true. Very true. We're about running out of time here, sir. I think this makes a good episode, first episode. I'll have to buy my subscription, renew my subscription to Zoom. I didn't do that.
So that's why I said this. But before we go, I just want to mention one last word,
Please.
which is very important for everyone to know, that two important points. One is Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes.
This is very important.
Care.
Yes, I mean, we all talk about the terrorism, Islamic terrorism.
Yeah.
World's largest, world's most richest Islamic terrorist organization are nothing but the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, the name of the Muslim Brotherhood was Jamaat al-Ikhwan al-Muslimin, Muslimun,
Right.
or Hizb al-Ikhwan al-Muslimun. Al-Ikhwan means the brothers, and Jamaat means the like the group of brothers joining together.
Right.
It's called Jamaat.
Like
So
unity.
my brothers,
like is it
unity.
unity?
Not exactly unity. It's like Jamaat in Arabic means a huge group of people came and stand in a place, and the huge group of people.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So that is Jamaat. Okay. And al-Ikhwan means the brothers. So Jamaat al-Ikhwan, joining together with the brothers to shout for Allah. So their motto is, Allah is our objective.
Right.
Prophet is our leader.
Yes.
Quran is our law.
Yep.
Jihad is our way.
Yes.
Dying in the way of Allah is our highest hope.
Yep.
This is the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yep.
Created and founded by Hassan al-Banna in 1928, a 22-year-old elementary school teacher.
Yep.
In Cairo, in Egypt.
Yep. Yep.
And before we end, Muslim Brotherhood controls the Zakat Foundation. Now, all of us talk about how the hell these people have that much money.
Right.
Every Friday, when they go for their mass, or they call it the namaz, there in the mosque, they have a donation box.
Right.
As per the Islamic policy, you have to pay 1/3 of your pay in that donation to be a good Muslim. So he pays his entire 1 week's pay, 1/3 into that box, donation box called as Zakat Foundation, run by the Zakat Foundation. That is Zakat.
Right.
And this foundation, funding from each and every,
Yeah.
That's why I said it's a marketing agency.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why I said it's a marketing agency.
Yeah, you're right.
Every corner, every corner of the world, interior-most villages are all connected with Muslim Brotherhood, like a chain of pearls.
Yep.
And that from there, the funding is shifted from this place to that place, from that place to that place. So that is the funding.
Right.
Unstoppable funding continues happening. The tap is open.
It's wide open.
So that's how they get the money. Yep.
Wide open. Yep. I see it. I understand it. I've been ready for it. So
we can call it a day, but someday we'll definitely talk about the, as I said, when these people, the communists, connect with the Islamists, they try to save the Islamists because they have the common agenda. A Muslim guy always shares the same plate with all his 4 or 5 friends or brothers. And in communism, like sharing your wife with your boss or sharing your daughter with your boss is part of the game because that's the same kind of thing that Islamic people are following. So obviously, you can understand the difference between. There is no difference between the communism and Islamism and liberalism.
Right.
Liberalism is the finest and the most refined version of the communism.
Yep.
That's it. There's no difference.
Yep. You are correct. That's I think a point we should start hitting home on. How close it is to communism and how communism doesn't work here in America.
No, it's a liberalism.
Yeah.
Or you can say that Islamofascism.
Yep.
Now it's joined with the liberalism. The Antifa is a part of Islamofascism.
They're neo-Nazis
used
too.
by the communists.
Yep. Neo-Nazis.
To create, yes. It's like this way, the communists are the head of the society and the Islamists are the body of the society.
Right.
In their society.
Yep.
Means the communists are more well-versed with their knowledge, IQ level, and the Islamists are well-versed in their art of war.
Yep.
How to fight, how to deceive, and how to kill.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. They're, brutal at it, so.
So I'm sure that our viewers got a fair picture about the things.
Yep. I would say so. Wait till the next time we talk about it. There's a whole lot more to go with that. About the plan, the known plan, and how deep it runs. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Chris. It's a great honor to be in your show. It's a real honor.
I'm honored to have you in my show. So thank you again, Doc. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Pleasure is mine.